The following presentation of Take Paws has been made possible in part by Broward County Animal Care and Adoption, where you can adopt a new best friend for life. If you decide to take your dog out and about, eventually you're bound to run into other people and other dogs. Your pet doesn't just know how to react to these new people or their canine companions. Just like with a young child, appropriate behavior needs to be taught and reinforced in new situations with your pet, including social situations. Bless you! A well-socialized dog won't react in fear each time it comes across a new person or another dog. And it's best if your dog is socialized starting at an early age. You're pretty well socialized though, aren't you, Bowser? Yeah, good boy.
It's very important to socialize puppies, particularly under 18 weeks of age. That's the magic period, so to speak, where their social skills are really being cemented into their brains. Just like toddlers have learning periods and specific developmental periods, human toddlers do, so do puppies. But we have our window very quickly closes with puppies because most people get a puppy when it's about 8 or 10 weeks old, and the key socialization period is up to 18 weeks. So they really only have between the time they get the puppy and 18 weeks to make the big impression. So why is this so important? It's so important because most aggression has been found to be coming from fear. A fearful dog will bite someone. A dog that feels threatened or cornered or somehow that they need to protect themselves, this is a dog that bites. So 90% of the time, this is the reason that a dog will bite is from fear. So how do we prevent fear? With a well-socialized dog. We super socialize them to people and other dogs. It's very, very important that it happens to both because, as I'm sure you've seen, some dogs are wonderful with people, but they're aggressive toward other dogs. Or they're perfectly fine with other dogs, but they are aggressive toward people. So that usually, not always, but usually means that they weren't socialized to whichever species they have decided to be aggressive with. So we try to prevent. We don't want to try to fix an aggressive dog because that's a lot of work, and sometimes the prognosis is not so great with that. It can be done sometimes, but very often it can't be done. So we try to prevent it because we know how to prevent it. Most dogs can be socialized starting at around 9 weeks old. You take them out, take them for walks, make sure they meet other dogs that are safe, that you know have been vaccinated, like your neighbor's dog that you know is well cared for. Now, some dogs are just born with a more timid temperament. And we want to be careful with those dogs because we don't want them to have a negative experience. We don't want them to get hurt or overwhelmed at a puppy class. So that's where a professional trainer can help the puppy have a positive experience and can very slowly bring out the confidence in the puppy. And we do a lot of that with food. So if you have a timid puppy, you might want to take some really tasty treats on a walk, and every time you see another dog, who's that? Just give them a treat. Only the very special high-quality treats come out when the thing that they're afraid of comes into their line of sight. So if they're a little timid around people, you might want to have some tasty little cut-up hot dogs and say, who's that treat? Who's that treat? The people don't have to give the dog the treat. The treat can come from the owner, but the idea is that the association is made in the dog's mind. Something good happens when people come into sight. And if you address that young enough, you can usually overcome it and have the dog change its emotional reaction to whatever it was that was frightening them. But the best goal is for the entire family to be on the same page and everybody be implementing the same techniques on an ongoing basis. I would say the first year of the dog's life, there should be continuous training happening every day, just a little bit at a time. But the first year, train as much as you can. And then after that, they usually seem to mature, and the maturity and the training kind of come together, and you have a nice well-behaved dog. But you have to keep brushing up throughout the dog's life. It's an ongoing project. I like to think of what I teach my clients is not how to train their dog, but how to live with their dog and how to interact with their dog on a daily basis. So one of the long-term benefits of training your dog and socializing your dog is that it stays in the home forever. We really want the dog to be considered part of the family and to stay in the home no matter what happens. If people move, if they have children, if they change their lifestyle, if their dog is well socialized and able to handle novelty and new things and new situations, the dog will be better able to adjust to whatever changes happen in the people's lives. And we want the dog to stay in the home because it's very iffy for a dog when they wind up getting passed around. Sometimes they don't do well in a new situation. Sometimes they wind up with someone that's not as nice as maybe their original family was, or they might wind up in a shelter. So training your dog and well socializing your dog is like an insurance policy that they're going to be with you forever and that they're going to be able to accept new situations. And if something happens where they do have to go to a new home, a well-socialized and well-trained dog will have a better shot at adapting to that new home. So it's very important for the dog's mental health and for their long-term happiness to be well-trained and well-socialized.
If you'd like to help support Take Paws through sponsorship or by making a donation, call 754-321-1000 or go to BECON-TV.